guys, welcome to Tuesday. I've had the loveliest day today with my daughter and my mum. We had a really nice girly day and she's just popped home now. So wanted to come online and ask you all, what is your favourite childhood movie? So when I was flying to Ethiopia on the way to Zanzibar just a few weeks ago, on the plane, they had like a random selection of films that I guess had probably come out a long time ago, were the not most popular films or the most recent films. And I found myself scrolling through this list of movies on the plane. And one of them was Practical Magic with Sandra Bullock and Nicole Kidman. Something that I haven't seen since I was a girl, like so young. And I had a vague kind of memory of it, but really wanted to dive back into it. So I watched it on the plane as I flew through to Ethiopia from London and then Ethiopia to Zanzibar. So it was a couple of hours and really triggered some lovely childhood memories for me. And the house that they've like filmed this movie in reminded me of my best friend's house growing up because she had lots of wood and things. And it felt quite American, her house, for how it was built. So today I was telling my mum and daughter about it. My mum remembered it from years ago. My daughter had never seen it. And we just sat now and watched it together and it was absolutely lovely. So I would love to hear what your favourite childhood movie is and if you recommend it to people. It's not my favourite from childhood, but it's definitely something that I haven't seen in many, many years. And when I saw it on the plane, that kind of deja vu of recognising something and then really enjoying it after watching it again. So Practical Magic, if you have seen it, is a lovely film. And I think it's suitable for most ages. What would you recommend for people to watch and why? Scrolling your comments, guys. I'll try and catch everyone if I can. Riyadh says, hi. Hi there. Udin says, how are you? I'm very well, thank you. I've just had a lovely girly day with my mum and my daughter. How are you guys? How is Tuesday treating you? Lindsay says, hi, and has sent 1,000 stars. Thank you very much. That's very kind of you, Lindsay. I hope you're having a lovely day. Cyril says, hello. Hi there. And Zahid says, welcome. Anders says, hello, hi. Grace says, how are you doing? I'm wonderful, thank you. How are you, Grace? John says, hello. Makia says, I'm from Nepal. Welcome. It is 5 p.m. in the UK here, 5:15 in the afternoon. And yes, I just had a lovely girly day and my mum has headed home to meet my dad from work. Yodav says, I love you, sending love to you all. Hakesh says hello, and Anul says hi, and Bagesh says like. Thank you guys, thank you all for joining. Again, what movies do you recommend? My daughter is studying film at the moment as a student doing her A-levels, and she created her first ever short movie, her first film for her coursework that she has to do for her exams. Absolutely incredible. She produced and directed and shot it and edited everything. She did absolutely amazing, and maybe one day she'll be allowed to release it, but it's off to the exam board for marking, and I think she's got such a talent in media. She's absolutely incredible, and I'm a very proud mother for her to have produced such a wonderful and meaningful piece of work and artwork, effectively what it is. So just shuffling some cards here. These are things to reflect upon and think about and kind of raise your quality of life, the way that we look at ourselves, the time that we spend with our loved ones, and what brings us joy and happiness. These cards are always a wonderful reflection. So I hope that you'll read this with me and maybe answer your own response to it when I share mine. Scrolling your comments so I can catch up with everyone. Sabu says, love, thank you. Joel says, hola, welcome. Sabu says, hello, beautiful. I miss you so much. Oh, thank you and welcome. Thank you for joining. Kiro says, hi. Kumar says, good night. Hope you have a lovely evening. Howie says, hello. Kiro says, how are you? Very well, thank you. How are you? Mamza says, I love you. Junior says, hi. Samir says, hi. And thank you all for joining, guys. Anders says, where are you? I'm in England at my home now that I'm back from Zanzibar, which was a wonderful adventure. Flores says, so beautiful. Oh, thank you. Umar says, you. And Chogwaswan says, how do you do? I know I probably said that really badly wrong, but I'm very well, thank you. How are you? And scrolling, Adil has sent a smiley face. Thank you, guys. Thank you for joining, and I hope you're having a wonderful Tuesday wherever you are. Mohan says, hello from India. Oh, welcome. And Umar says, hi, have. And Abdullah says, hi. Thank you, guys. The comments come up so fast, it's quite hard to squint and read with all the lights everywhere. But answering this card, if you please, may share your thoughts on this. I think it's a really lovely thing to do. So this one in particular that is just shuffled from the pack is about raising self-awareness, how we feel about ourselves, and ultimately how we love ourselves, how we understand who we are, accept ourselves for who we are, the things that make us an individual so unique and so wonderful, and then allow others to accept us also. So the question on this card, which I would love for you to answer with me and share your response as we reflect upon what we come up with, is where do you feel like you make the biggest contribution? Where do you feel like you make the biggest contribution? So when I'm thinking about my life, as a mother, I think that's a very big contribution to influence the upbringing of the next generation. And I'm not saying that I influence every child, but certainly my own children, to teach them to be selfless and to love unconditionally, to always believe in themselves and work hard and follow their dreams and make a positive difference to the world. But I feel like this isn't where I make my biggest contribution. I feel that my biggest contribution in life is on social media. So it's not a relative or a single place of work, it is on the internet. I've been in the media since I was 18 years old, so 20 years now. I'm 38, and it's been a really long and interesting life on camera and in front of people on television and magazines, newspapers, radio stations. I've been very honoured and very blessed to be able to share my thoughts and feelings as a neurodivergent woman. So I have autism and ADHD. So I think and feel differently to other people, but many people are neurodivergent, many late diagnoses. I had my diagnosis just a year ago, within the past year. And I also have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, so hypermobility, which is closely related to autism and ADHD. So there's kind of an umbrella. When you have one factor of genetics, it's very likely that you will be combined into multiple factors. So I tick all the boxes for all of these things, but actually it's a different way of thinking and living. And I was speaking to my mum about this today, that when I was a child, I really could not understand or accept suffering. I found it a very difficult thing to comprehend. I said, why is there war? Why are people fighting? Why are animals being eaten for food when we have so many vegetables, when we have so many other things that doesn't involve suffering? Why do we not do the route of least resistance first? Why do we become wasteful? Why do we become selfish and greedy and materialistic? And, you know, my mum said to me as a child that I was one of those, not difficult, but always questioning everything, where normally children would say, why is the sky blue? Oh, because it is. And they say, oh, okay. And then they kind of skip along and play in the garden. I was like, but why is it blue? What makes it blue? What chemical compound is in the atmosphere to turn this sky blue? And why is it not as blue as it was yesterday? What has changed from one moment to the next? My brain was always absolutely fascinated. And I feel that as well, being neurodivergent, you kind of get this sense of justice. And it's something that other people would tell white lies, or they would tell big lies, or they would fake things in their life. And I feel terrible if I even try to do the tiniest white lie. I feel like I have misled someone. I feel like I have murdered someone just for saying, oh, I like this when I don't, just to be polite, you know. So I have to be this kind of 100% honest, because 1% dishonesty, a white lie to spare someone's feelings, makes me feel terrible. It makes me feel like I've committed a sin. And I'm not overly religious. I was raised Catholic, but I am Buddhist. So I'm spiritual as opposed to religious. But right from wrong feels like massive polar opposites to me. And if something is not 100% right, then it feels like it's wrong. It feels like it may as well be the worst wrong in the world. And I don't know if other people live and feel that way, or if it's just something that's unique to me. But coming onto social media and talking about certain things, certain aspects of life, I know that a lot of people have found subjects that I discuss embarrassing or shameful or shocking. And they say, why are you telling people this? Why are you so open about this? But for me, it doesn't feel shocking. It feels normal and natural and human to discuss these things. To come online with frizzy hair and mismatching clothes. I'm not here to construct something or to make people think I'm something I'm not. I'm just here as myself. And I feel that the greatest contribution that I can make to the world, the biggest contribution, is to show the world how to be yourself. And because of that, across all of my social media, in total, if you were to combine all the different platforms that I'm on and the followers, there's around 5 million followers. And I think that happens for a reason. We've found each other for a reason, to be here and share a connection, share an influence with one another. So for me, I think it's the influence of honesty, of just showing up as yourself and saying, you don't need to be something you're not. You don't need to impress people or brag or be better than you are. You simply have to say, this is who I am. And those who love you will see you for who you are, and they will accept you and love you. And those who don't appreciate you, well, they never needed to be there in the first place. Somebody said, are you a tarot reader? I'm not. These are just cards which I picked up online. They're not for reading, they're for contemplation. So they are at my best question cards. I think I got them on Amazon or something. And it's just a way to reflect upon your life, the things that are important to you, and build gratitude. So yes, this was about raising self-awareness. And it says, where do you feel like you make the biggest contribution? As a mother, but ultimately, I think on social media, to bring humanity back. So that's where I believe that I make the biggest contribution in life. Where do you feel that you make your biggest contribution? And what is that? Scrolling your comments, Michael says, do you have an account on Threads? I do. My Instagram is tracykiss.com, DOTCOM. And my Threads is connected to that, which is tracykiss.com. So if you go onto my Instagram profile and click the little @ symbol, it will take you to my Threads profile. Beware, there are a lot of fake accounts using my name and pictures, pretending to be me, messaging my followers. It is not me. If you receive a message from me, it's not me. I do not message people. So the best place to find me is here on Facebook Live. All my verified accounts have all got a blue tick next to my name. They're definitely not a fan account, a personal private chat account, nothing like that does not exist, and it's not me. So please be careful for scams and spammers. Somebody said, I want a modern tattoo with you, modern style matching yours, and I'm waiting for you in Thailand. Oh, thank you. Well, a lot of my tattoos are spiritual, so lotus flowers and lots of freehand wildflowers. I also have a tree of life. I have a 4-leaf clover as an honour to my family who are Irish. We all drew a heart and put them all together to make a clover. I've got lots of roses, lotus flowers, chakras, and geometry of the universe. So yes, lots of bits and pieces. I guess maybe it's modern and maybe it's timeless at the same time. What tattoos do you have and what will you get next? I had my most recent in October, which was my clover with my daughter and my parents. We all got a matching tattoo. And so all three of them, my mum, my dad and my daughter all had their first tattoo, and I had, I think this is number 84, because I've got a few that I've gathered over a lifetime, which when you think of it is just a handful a year. How are you all? What are you up to? And what is your biggest contribution in life? I would love to hear your responses to that question. At Paul says, how do you heal? How do you heal? Heal from what? In life, I guess, you've seen a blue god in your dreams, Mark. What is a blue god? I would love to hear more about that. I lead a vegan diet and lifestyle, so my nutrition and healing is super, super fast. I never get sick. When I'm injured or go through a surgery or something, I'm literally out of the bed the following day at the latest, running around back to normal as if nothing happened. So if you're looking at healing in life, definitely boosting your immune system is really important. Having clean nutrition, cutting out meat and dairy because of the processes that it takes to almost digest, let alone process those things. The digestive enzymes that we need within our bodies is so much harder to process meat and dairy than it is fruit and vegetables. We're just naturally attuned to be able to have things that are grown in the ground in our bodies. And because of that, it's the easiest, quickest way to recover, to be strong, and to also help with muscle recovery when you're training. Jamie said, did you say that you're vegan? Yes, I've been meat-free since the age of 5, and probably around 10 years ago or so, I found out that I have a dairy intolerance. So I'm also gluten intolerant, fun times, and I have IBS, which is irritable bowels. So it feels like my stomach is in knots. It's a very painful condition to have. But equally, the more clean I eat, so having lots of soups, having lots of just fruit and vegetables is what I live on, lots of rice, homemade, unprocessed food, my body is just constantly strong, and it's easy to recover. When I train, I build muscle mass easily because a lot of having a clean diet means that you're not carrying excess body fat. A lot of meat and dairy is just bulking. It's not lean. And when you look at what goes into meat and dairy, not that I want to give a whole speech and brainwash anyone or convince you to change your entire life, but there are a lot of additives, preservatives, steroids that are put into them, antibiotics and things, and ultimately that's passed to your body and you have to process that. Khan says, Tracy, you are looking like a dream. Oh, thank you. Mark says, you're mostly artificial. Mostly artificial. Well, I guess our lives that we lead now, everything is processed. The things that we go through, the clothes that we wear, they seep into our bodies. There are microplastics everywhere. Mark says you can't live forever. Well, actually, that is changing right now, and within the next decade or so, I think you'll be able to see the difference that you can live forever. The main reason for death is organ failure. It's not cancer or disease. It's our body shutting down so that we then cease to live. And if you prevent your organs from failing, effectively, you can live with chronic illness, you can survive with terminal cancer indefinitely because your body is still alive. When we talk about things of neurological health, when you are effectively brain dead, but your body is breathing or circulating, that's not a quality of life, but technically you could be kept alive on a ventilator, on assisted machinery. But actually in biohacking, as long as you keep your organs healthy and biologically youthful, cellular renewal, you can live forever, even with poor health. It's just very important that you don't allow organ failure to take place. Mark says, I'm from North Carolina. Welcome, Mark. I hope you're having a lovely day. Eddie says, where are you from? I'm from England, but my family heritage is Hungarian Irish. So I was born in the UK, but ancestors, grandparents were born abroad. Are you all based in the countries that you're born in, or have you moved to different countries? Have you followed your parents' footsteps of where they were raised? I would love to hear how you've travelled around the world. I am born and raised within like a 10-mile radius my whole life, so I haven't lived far from where I grew up. But also I grew up in a very peaceful place in the countryside in England, and I believe there's, you know, good reason not to leave somewhere that you call home when you find where you feel comfortable and belong. Roby says, good evening. Good evening, Roby. Khan says, your smile is energetic, Tracy. Oh, thank you. Mark says, hello. Abu says, hello. And Faisal says, thanks. Thank you, guys. Welcome. Yes, so catching up with your comments. I think I've caught up with everyone, but I'm sorry if I've missed you. Not my intention. Ula says, so beautiful. Oh, thank you. I hope you've all had a really awesome day so far. This lovely Tuesday, right at the start of the week, I'm going to the Apple Genius Bar tomorrow because my phone, after going to Africa, into Zanzibar, it just overheats constantly and it won't hold charge and it's just really misbehaving. So I think maybe humidity or the extreme temperatures has cooked my iPhone. So I'm hoping tomorrow that they can change the battery, or maybe I have to just get a different phone. I'm really bad with technology, but I don't want to get good at technology because that means I would use it more. So yes, for like hopping on a Facebook Live, I definitely need my phone to work. But from traveling, it's had a bit of a glitch. So maybe there's a good idea to take a different phone away with you when you go away, like a backup phone, that if it got damaged, you wouldn't mind. And keep your main phone for at home where you know it's safe. Khan says, I'm watching from India. Welcome. Do you have issues with phones overheating in India? I know the temperature was like 35 degrees when I was in Africa, so maybe it's just way hotter than it would be in the UK, and my phone is really not happy with that. I had to get a wireless charger to even charge it. And yeah, I can't be dealing with an overheating, slow charging phone when I use it every day for work. So I'm hoping they can sort it out tomorrow. Worst case scenario, I get locked out of all of my accounts and I have no passwords or anything. So fingers crossed it will all go well. I just have bad memories from years ago when you had to do an update on your phone. You had to back it up on your computer and like download your phone to your computer. Then it would crash part way and you lose everything. So yes, hopefully that won't happen tomorrow, but I'm still a little bit traumatized from losing phones in the past. Narul says, stay enthusiastic, healthy, and always be successful. Oh, thank you. And to you also. George says, I'm a descendant from Spanish parents and I live in Buenos Aires. How lovely. Oh my goodness. Would you move to another country, do you think? Or will you live where you were born? I think for me, I would probably at maximum move like 100 miles from where I was born. But I don't like the city. I don't like built up areas. I love being in nature. And I suppose where I am on the outskirts of London, it's a very, I guess, a desirable area in England. You have the best of both worlds, from the countryside to the city, but also it's very expensive. And if I moved further away from the capital, you can have twice as much for half as much, you know. So maybe in the future I will move away from where I live, but to another part of the countryside that isn't as extortionate as it is where I am. But equally, it's all I've ever known. So it's difficult really to choose where you think long term to live. I guess if you can work remotely, as I do, you don't need to be so central. But for friends and family kind of being in the area, you want to kind of stay where you know. I think it's a big decision to move away from all of your routines and everything, but you never know what the future has in store. And I guess never say never really for where life takes you. Just be open-minded and see what will be. Con says, you're very beautiful. Oh, thank you. Russ says, how are you? I'm wonderful. Thank you, Russ. How are you? Jan says, best personality. Oh, thank you. Randy says, Wizard of Oz. Yeah, maybe I'll go to Australia for a holiday. I think that's where the Wizard of Oz is. Oz as in Australia, I'm sure, but I could be wrong about that. But I don't think I'd ever live there. I think it's too warm. Eddie says, blow us a big kiss. Happy Tuesday, Eddie. And Milan says, wow, thank you. So yes, just hopping on very briefly today, guys, to share a moment to wish you a wonderful Tuesday. And if you have any recommendations of childhood movies that you absolutely love, please feel free to leave them below. I'd love to watch them. George says, I'm pretty well here in Buenos Aires. I've never been, but it sounds like it's a beautiful place. And when you find somewhere you love that feels like home and is magical, definitely stay. There's no reason to leave if you're already found your place. Ross says, I'm wet but home from work. Are you still on holiday? So no, I'm not on holiday anymore. I was in Africa last week and now I'm home. So yes, back home in routine, and I work from home. So fortunately, I can work anywhere in the world, but living, I guess I've always lived where I live, so I wouldn't want to leave, but I could, and life would probably be a higher quality of life in a less expensive area. But then equally, I think, you know, there's swings and roundabouts, because then there could be more crime elsewhere, or there may not be as many amenities. So you kind of have to weigh up what really works, not just base life purely on the cost of living. I think it's definitely about the quality of life. I would love to live further away, more remotely, but then also understanding there may not be as many things available or healthcare available in the same way as when you are quite central. So the border of the city and the countryside, I think, is the sweet spot for me at this stage of life. And maybe in years to come, I'll just retire somewhere in the middle of nowhere with no electricity or phone signal. That would actually be quite wonderful. Ross says Somerset is a nice place to be. Do you know, I don't think I've ever been to Somerset, which is really bad. I haven't ventured far around the UK, but I will, I think, over the next couple of years, take little jaunts here and there. So any parts that you recommend within Somerset, I would definitely love to check out. Luke says, hi Tracy, you're right. I like your lights. Oh, thank you. I'm very well, thank you. How are you, Luke? Yes, I have like a light on for the phone so that you can see me and it's not pitch black. But I also have like a projector and it changes colours and has twinkly green stars. It also plays white noise, so like ocean sounds or the wind and rain. And it's really lovely. Like you can point it up to the ceiling and it just casts like the galaxy and the universe onto the ceiling as you're just sleeping. And it's very peaceful and lovely. But I have it on silent and it's positioned on the wall, which isn't as vibrant as when you have all the lights off and it's up on the ceiling. But very peaceful. It always makes me feel so relaxed. And now that it's dark at like 4:30 in the UK or 4 p.m, it's nice to kind of put on some twinkly lights and just relax. Khan says, I'm waiting for you to come to India, Tracy. Eventually I will. It's on my bucket list, but I would love to spend like a month and travel around. And it's kind of finding when is that period of time available, and also where do you go first to not miss out on the things that you know you want to see, but it's the logistics and the planning. I get lost in car parks, so it takes a lot of planning for me to go to another country, especially when I don't speak the language. But yeah, I will definitely make my way to India at some point. Scrolling your comments, Travis says, hi Tracy, always stunning, God bless you. Oh, thank you very much. Donate says, my girl. Hi there. And Ross says, Bath, I've never been, but very countryside here and close to Bristol. I have been to Bristol and Bath and I think it's really pretty. There was some architecture in Bath where the buildings, they were like townhouses and they were in a big arc and they were white and it was like in a big park, and then I went rowing down the river And it was very pretty. It was absolutely lovely. And Bristol, I was there the other day actually after I landed. So yes, I think they're both lovely places. I haven't been around Bristol as much, but spending a sunny day in Bath was really lovely a few years ago. So if Somerset is nice like that, is that what Somerset is, like Bath or Bristol? Then maybe I have been there. But I just remember this beautiful architecture and looking around the shops and like lovely little lunches and gift shops and artwork. It was very pretty. George said I could visit Europe 5 years ago. Yeah, I think like whenever I've gone on holiday, it's been to like France, Spain, Germany, Italy, Greece, Turkey. It's been those kind of things. And then venturing across to Amsterdam, Ireland. I've never been to Scotland, but I've been up north to see friends. And then the Maldives, trying to think where else. Just coming back from Africa in January now. So yes, I probably will venture more long haul. I was supposed to be in New York for a health conference, but my grandmother passed away at the same time. So I was at her funeral instead. Otherwise, that would have been my first visit to America. But it kind of scares me a bit that they have weapons. So I don't know if I ever will venture to America. But yes, that's something that maybe in time I will see, but not high up on my priority. Luke says, have you had lip fillers? So I don't have lip fillers at the moment. I don't know if you can see. I do have a lip gloss on because my lips are quite dry since coming back. I've had the heating on. But these are my normal lips. I had lip filler years ago and then just stopped having it. So I never wanted to have big lips. But in time, when you have lip filler, it dissolves, it disappears. So my last lip filler maybe was like 4 or 5 years ago, and then your body metabolizes it. So it's called hyaluronic acid, which is naturally within your body. We all have it as a kind of source of hydration. And when it's injected into an area, it then fills with fluid from your body and gives you that volume. So I haven't had my lips refilled. I did it and then got worried that I would look like it was ridiculous. So then I just didn't repeat it. So yeah, that was maybe 4 or 5 years ago, but it's supposed to disappear with time within 6 to 12 months. But I believe potentially it stayed. I have always had a heavy upper lip area like this here. I call it like Homer Simpson lip. I don't know if you've ever heard of that as a term or if that's just what I call it. But this kind of part of my face protrudes well, it feels like it protrudes. If I turn my face sideways, maybe it doesn't so much. But to me, that feels like a half coconut on my face. So yes, no, I haven't had lip fillers for nearly half a decade. And when I did, I only ever had a very small amount because I didn't want to look enhanced. And now I have some lip gloss on, just clear lip gloss that makes them shiny. So maybe that's what it looks like, but I haven't had any kind of alterations or anything for quite some years now. Scrolling your comments, guys. Sanaka says, hi, live chat. No, I do not go on personal chats. I am here now live on Facebook, yes, but there's not a way to speak to me one-on-one on a video chat. Ross says, yes, in around Somerset, Bristol. Ah, okay, so that's where it is. That makes a lot more sense. Geography is not my strong point, you may have realised. Ben says, hi Tracy, I love the lights in the background. Yay! I love it when they change colours. I think it's so pretty and just relaxing. And sometimes it's nice to just light a candle and watch the flame flicker. I have lots of salt lamps, if you can see here. It's my Himalayan salt lamp, which is grey. And that means that it takes longer than a pink salt lamp to heat up. And because of that, the purification of the air, of breathing, is so much stronger with grey salt lamps than it is opposed to having just pink. Do you have salt lamps and do you love them? I just love everything to do with light and colour. Craig says, good afternoon, Tracy. Good afternoon, Craig. Coming up for 6 p.m. in the UK, not far off. How are you spending this wonderful evening? Sanaka says, nice. Oh, thank you. And Ross says, I'll catch you next time. I was about to say good evening to everybody and head off. Then I got chatting again. Ben says, you look divine. Thank you, Ben. And Khan says, I get lost in your cheerful face, Tracy. Oh, thank you very much. So my brother, I actually saw him. I don't see him very often, even though he lives quite close to me, but he's not the most sociable person. And I saw him 2 days ago now. And when I saw him, he was like, oh, have you done something to your cheeks on your face? And I was like, no. Like, what have I done to my cheeks? And he said, oh, you look really cheeky. Like, they look like they're extra pumped or something. I have not touched my face. I, if anything, leave my face alone. But where I squeezed them, I've gone all red now. But he said, oh, your cheeks are looking extra cheeky. I think it's just from laughing and smiling and having been on holiday. I did like lots of swimming, lots more walking, and just being outdoorsy in the great, lovely weather. It was so warm and beautiful. Whereas in the UK, when it's dark and cold, you're a bit more indoorsy, and you don't get to be as active. So he was like, maybe your face has changed shape. But I haven't done anything differently. I'm eating the way I normally eat. I'm living the way I normally live. I'm still training the way I would normally train. I had surgery in October, all internal surgery, so it didn't change my appearance. And it meant that I had to take 6 weeks off of the gym to recover. So now that I'm back to training, perhaps it's just stripping a little bit of excess body fat and carving my face. I don't know. It's all I can presume. Or the fact that I've just been away on holiday and I was just really active and I've got a slight tan. I mean, I don't really think you can say that I'm brown, but I've got a slight tan. So maybe I look slightly different with the tan. Who knows? I don't wear fake tan. I haven't had any fillers, and I don't care for altering my appearance. But yes, my brother said I look a bit more cheeky, and he mentioned my lips as well and said maybe your lips. Oh, you know what it is? I have teeth straightening. So when I put these in for a few days, I talk with a bit of a lisp as it kind of goes in. They're on both sets of teeth. These are my natural teeth, and loads of people have reported that I have veneers. I don't. All of my teeth are natural. They are mine. They are healthy. I'm just bringing them back into alignment with aligners. And I change them every 10 days. So it effectively moves your teeth like 0.1 millimeter at a time. And every time they go in, they go quite tight. So maybe it makes you talk with a slight lisp until it loosens and adjusts. And maybe also that makes my lips protrude a bit, because it's like having chewing gum in your mouth. You know something's there. It feels like your mouth is bigger than it is. So it could just be, I changed my trays today and I changed them last week. I changed them every 10 days. So maybe right after a change, I'm slightly swollen, perhaps. I have no idea. Khan says, your beauty has no limit, Tracy. Oh, thank you. And Pramud says, so beautiful. Thank you. Peter says, hello. Hi, Peter. Yasir says, you look divine, Tracy. Oh, thank you very much. Suraj says, bless, Tracy. Oh, thank you. And to you. And Khan says, lovely speech. Thank you, guys. You're all so kind. Trying to scroll your comments. If I've missed out something that you said, I'm very sorry. It's not intentional. Khan says, you're a very impressive person, Tracy. Thank you. I think everybody is born to be a wonderful person, to have so many beautiful qualities and so much individuality and energy and sunshine for who we are. I think it's when we try to quieten down ourselves. Oh, something's gone funny. Do I have cat ears on my head? I have no idea what that is. Okay. I don't know if you just saw that. Something froze and then I had a cat on me. Really unexpected. But yes, when we try to be less of who we are, when we try to soften ourselves to not offend anyone or not to be too loud or too vibrant or too confident, we lose who we are. Really what we need to do is say, if people think that I'm too much for them, they're not the right people to be around. and to kind of distance ourselves from people that make us feel anxious or make us feel like we're too loud or too demanding. You know, some people, I know with me, I love being tactile. I love cuddling my pets, my children. If people are sat with me, I want to like put my hand on their knee and say like, oh, how are you? How are you doing? Other people can find that really invasive. So I guess it's finding that vibe of people where you feel comfortable with them, rather than I can't give them a hug because they're going to be offended. Be around people who love giving hugs. And if you love singing, be around people who love singing. If you love gardening, be around people who love being in the garden. If you are constantly around the wrong people, you will feel like everything you do in life is wrong, that it's never good enough, that it's always going to annoy people, that they just don't understand what's important to you. We don't have to have everybody agreeing with us, but we do have to have the ability to be ourselves without feeling ashamed. If you love collecting teapots, be around other people who love teapots. It doesn't make you any less or more of a person. It just allows you to be yourself and to explore the things that you really enjoy. So, you know, if somebody says to me, oh, you talk too much, I'll just go and be with people who love talking, because talking is wonderful. Communication is wonderful. I would rather have a conversation than to sit in silence with people who don't want to be there and feel awkward. It just means it's not the right space for them, or they're not the right space for you to be there. If we kind of force people to be like us, you're taking away their ability to be themselves. And that's when we start to feel awkward and like we don't belong. So I think the really important thing is to see who we are and not hide that or disguise that or mask that or try to be like everyone else. Just be yourself. And what comes naturally is what feels the best. So those are just my 2 cents. I would love for you to answer this question for me. Even after the video finishes, I can still come back and read the comments. So for raising self-awareness, the question is, where do you feel like you make the biggest contribution? Where do you feel like you make the biggest contribution? For me, motherhood and social media. And I think just showing up as myself and saying, please live this life being yourself too. Because ultimately you get one life, one carnation. And I think it's really important that you don't waste it trying to be something you're not, or trying to convince people of what you are not, but would like to be. Instead, just say, this is who I am. And you either take it or you leave it. So that's where I'm at in life. And I would love to hear your thoughts on that also, and where you're at. Have you changed your opinion through the years as you've moved through teenage years to 20s and 30s and beyond? Do your views differ from what they used to be? I used to be so concerned with what people thought of me. I used to be nervous that I wouldn't be good enough. I used to feel like I had no value or worth. I would kind of always feel guilty, like I didn't belong or that nobody would want me. I always had this very low opinion of myself because other people were cruel to me. And then I just got to the point where I thought, why am I being horrible to myself? Why am I criticizing myself? Or why do I not believe in myself? All we've got is ourselves. And the ultimate battle that you can face is to make peace with yourself. And everything on top of that is a bonus. As long as you are kind to yourself, your day gets easier. You can then be more accepting and understanding of yourself, which allows you to be accepting and understanding of others. So it has this positive knock-on effect into all aspects of our lives. And I think it's just really important that we say, it doesn't matter what anyone in the world thinks of me. It's how I treat myself that matters. And if people want to be nice, that's lovely. And if people want to be nasty, show them the door. Hit block, remove the negativity from your life. Peace and love is the way forward. We just have to learn to love ourselves. And I think when you've got that, you've got everything sorted. The rest of life falls beautifully into place around peace and love. So thank you all for joining me. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, wherever you are, whatever you're doing. Be kind to yourself and then be kind to others. And I will see you all soon. Bye.